Hello everyone, welcome back to the Christian Prodigy. Today I am going to be going over Matthew 24, which is the signs of the end of the age. So let's get started. So as Jesus was sitting on the Mount of Olives, the disciples came to him privately. "Tell us," they said, "when will this happen, and what will be the sign of your coming and of the end of the age?" Jesus answered, "Watch out that no one deceives you, for many will come in my name, claiming, 'I am the Messiah,' and will deceive many. You will hear of wars and rumors of wars, but see to it that you are not alarmed. Such things must happen, but the end is still to come. Nation will rise against nation, and kingdom against kingdom. There will be famines and earthquakes in various places. All these are the beginning of birth pains." So, that is the first part. "Then you will be handed over to be persecuted and put to death, and you will be hated by all nations because of me. At that time, many will turn away from the faith, and will betray and hate each other. And many false prophets will appear and deceive many people. Because of the increase of wickedness, the love of most people will grow cold. But the one who stands firm to the end will be saved. And this gospel of the kingdom will be preached in the whole world as a testimony to all nations, and then the end will come." So real quick, I want to talk about the end. So it says that the gospel of the kingdom will be preached to the whole world as a testimony to everyone, and then the end will come. The one that stands firm to the end will be saved. Here's the thing. Before, I didn't really understand what that meant. I figured the end must be the tribulation, right? Because that would make sense. Yesterday, I was reading in the book of Enoch. No, not the book of Enoch. The book of Ezekiel. Ezekiel, not Enoch. And it talked about the end. There's a paragraph that's titled, "The End Has Come." And what the end is God's judgment, which does take place during the tribulation, meaning that the end is the tribulation. So, all those people who stay faithful, or who stands firm to the end, all those people will be saved. Currently, we are in the birth pains, and we are in the beginning of the birth pains, which is many claiming to be the Messiah, deceiving many. We've got wars, rumors of wars. Biggest one, an example, is the Russia and Ukraine war going on right now, with Putin threatening nuclear war with the rest of the world, which would be a bigger war, right? Those things will happen, but the end is still to come. Nation rising against nation, famines and earthquakes in various places. We've got that major set of earthquakes that took place in Turkey like 2 weeks ago. Someone mapped out 7,700 of those earthquakes since the big one that hit Turkey on the 7th, and it literally mapped out a 7, and God's number is known to be 7. So God's judgment fell upon Turkey, more than likely. Then you have us being persecuted and handed over to be put to death, hated by all nations because of Christ. Many turning away at that time from the faith. betraying and hating each other, false prophets rising, deceiving many, etc., etc., and all that good stuff. Not really, but you get what I mean. But let's continue. So when you see standing in the holy place the abomination that causes desolation, spoken of through the prophet Daniel, let the reader understand. Then those who are in Judea flee to the mountains. Let no one on the housetop go down and take anything out of the house. Let no one go in the field. Let no one in the field go back to get their cloak. How dreadful it will be in those days for pregnant women and nursing mothers. Pray that your flight will not take place in the winter or on the Sabbath. I'll go back to that. For then there will be great distress, unequaled from the beginning of the world until now, and never to be equaled again. So I want to talk about that real quick. So, the end comes. Then the abomination happens. The abomination of desolation. So, everyone is panicked from what it sounds. And it says to pray that your flight will not take place in the winter or on the Sabbath. I personally think that is the rapture, because, we're taking flight to the clouds to meet the Lord in the air, right? That's what I get from that. And after that happens, there will then be a great distress, unequaled in all of history. Nothing compares to it, not even Noah's flood. That is the tribulation. Because the tribulation, there's a time of great distress. God's judgment brings great distress upon the world. But anyways, let's keep going. If those days had not been cut short, no one would survive. But for the sake of the elect, those days will be shortened. At that time, if anyone says to you, "Look, here is the Messiah," or "There he is," do not believe it. For false messiahs and false prophets will appear and perform great signs and wonders to deceive, if possible, even the elect. See, I have told you ahead of time. So if anyone tells you, "There he is, out in the wilderness," do not go out. Or, "Here he is, in the inner rooms," do not believe it. For as lightning that comes from the east is visible even in the west, so will the coming of the Son of Man. Wherever there is a carcass, there the vultures will gather. Immediately after the distress of those days, immediately after the tribulation of those days, the sun will be darkened, and the moon will not give its light. The stars will fall from the sky, and the heavenly bodies will be shaken. So those things will take place right after the tribulation has ended. Immediately after it has ended. So this is practically signifying the end. It marks the end of it. Okay. Then will appear the sign of the Son of Man in heaven. And then all the peoples of the earth will mourn when they see the Son of Man coming on the clouds of heaven, with power and great glory. And he will send his angels with a loud trumpet call, and they will gather his elect from the four winds, from one end of the heavens to the other. Now learn this lesson from the fig tree. As soon as its twigs get tender and its leaves come out, you know that summer is near. Even so, when you see all these things, you know that it is near, right at the door. Truly I tell you, this generation will certainly not pass away until all these things have happened. Heaven and earth will pass away, but my words will never pass away. Something many people do is refer the nation of Israel to being that generation, being the fig tree. But because Israel is the main focus of God, right? They are his people. Anyways, the day and hour unknown. But about that day or hour, no one knows, not even the angels in heaven, nor the Son, but only the Father. As it was in the days of Noah, so will it be at the coming of the Son of Man. For in the days before the flood, people were eating and drinking, marrying and giving in marriage, up to the day Noah entered the ark. And they knew nothing about what would happen until the flood came and took them all away. That is how it will be at the coming of the Son of Man. 2 men will be in the field. One will be taken and the other left. 2 women will be grinding with a handmill. One will be taken and the other left. Therefore keep watch, because you do not know on what day your Lord will come. But understand this, if the owner of the house had known at what time of night the thief was coming, he would have kept watch, and would not have let his house be broken into. So you also must be ready, because the Son of Man will come at an hour when you do not expect him. Who then is the faithful and wise servant, whom the master has put in charge of the servants in his household, to give them their food at the proper time? It will be good for that servant whose master finds him doing so when he returns. Truly I tell you, he will put him in charge of all his possessions. But suppose that servant is wicked, and says to himself, "My master is staying away a long time," and then he begins to beat his fellow servants, and to eat and drink with drunkards. The master of that servant will come on a day when he does not expect him, and at an hour he is not aware of. He will cut him to pieces, and assign him a place with the hypocrites, where there will be weeping and gnashing of teeth. That is Matthew 24. Those are the signs of the end of the age. As I said earlier in the video, we are currently living in the birth pains. Preaching the gospel to the world is what will cause the tribulation to begin. Nothing else but that will actually cause the end to come. Get right with God while you are able to. Believe in the gospel. Don't listen to these kind of videos or hear about what is to come or what you should be doing if you're not going to take any action to do those things. Do not waste your time. Time is very short. Just about everything of the birth pains mentioned in Matthew 24, just about every single one of those things that is mentioned is a repeating event. They've repeated since Christ was here. They've been happening for that long. What has not happened yet is the gospel reaching the whole world. That is what has not happened yet. That is a key factor in bringing the end. Everything else on that list has taken place time and time again. Do not waste the time you have while you have it. Anyways, if you're new, consider subscribing. If you enjoyed hearing this overview of Matthew 24, leave a like. And I will see you guys later. Goodbye.